All right, so let's do this recap, guys. So why was I bearish today? Well, first off, what kind of phase of price are we in on the daily? So as you see, let's mark out the range that we're currently in. So we opened up a week in the premium end of a range, right, where Monday continued that expansion. And Tuesday printed an SMT, right? Now, do I deem this SMT as the most relevant while it was printing live? No, because of these failure swings. But you kind of have to respect when price actually starts to expand away, right? You have to respect that. So I'm deeming this SMT as the trigger for a retracement, right? We can expect one because, right, within this wick, we already started the expansion, right? And then it leads into 3 days of continuation, right? So we can expect some sort of retracement, maybe back into EQ or whatever, right? The weekly candle opens high first. That's another reason why we can expect an open, high, low close weekly candle. So that's supporting our narrative. But really, it's the previous day's closure and what it leaves behind. This is what really sets it up for a pretty one-sided narrative, because when I look into EQ of this previous day's range, obviously I want the day to reverse around EQ of this area. So I'm going to look if there's any key level within this range. So with the GXT alignment, within an expansion candle, if I want to see continuation, for gaps specifically, I want to use the 4-hour gaps, ideally, right? Because when you use the 1 hour, there's just too many, right? If I go to 4 hour, it's just one solid gap, simply. So if you look here, what is the day opening into or next to? This 4-hour gap, right? So I want this to form the high day. It doesn't need to go any higher. I don't want to see price go into, OTE of the range, right? Around EQ is fine, right? Because that's around EQ of this gap as well. It's kind of aligning, with that, right? EQ of the previous day's range, EQ of the gap. So this is, when I open the charts here and I see the daily candle leaving this consolidation, like leaving these lows, this is another big reason why I'm bearish, is because when I look at this range here, from low to high, I would not expect this range to hold because of how far price retraced into the range. To me, this is the target, this range low, right? So it's leaving behind failure swings. So anytime price leaves behind a failure swing, automatically assuming it's a retracement, we can fractalize that. When we left this low, automatically think it's a retracement. What can we use? What kind of key level can we use for price to, go from retracement into expansion? It's a gap. So this gap, retracement, expansion into these lows. We can fractalize that on the 30-minute. This is retracement. This is why this gap, I want it to be used for continuation. It's the same thing. We form an SMT here, though, right? A continuation 2-stage PSP there. But still going into the 4-hour here, let's look at the framework here, the daily candle. So if you look at these failure swings, right, this slow consolidation move, right, look at these small range candles after this large range. That is a continuation signature. So when price expands and retraces, or price expands and consolidates, we automatically assume continuation. So the phases of price are supporting our framework. This is important. So now that we know that, I want to see a reversal signature. Once we retrace into the gap, I need to see a reversal signature from the gap, right? So when we're thinking about profiling here, I want to see a reversal into expansion candle, right? So you see this is a, if London hit the gap, did not reverse, then I want to reverse off of London highs and lows, right? So if you see here, we reverse off London highs, the 2M candle, have a small wick that supports expansion. So now I have to ask myself, coming into the driver, which is 9:30, have we actually put in a reversal to trade away from? Well, let's look at it. To me, we didn't, right? To me, if I buy play to 9 o'clock, I don't see a significant reversal, right? To me, like, you have a C2 candle, but do you see the lack of displacement here? Right, no displacement away, but when I look at the other markets, this is what really tells me there's no reversal. Let's look at ES here. Look at ES, right? There's no reversal here to me. So that means that if we have not had a reversal prior to the driver or New York session, then we have to have a New York reversal, right? Off of something that the previous sessions created. So when I look at what the previous sessions created, look at why I'm here. There is an engineered high within this range, right? So I want the driver to open up, right? I want the most relevant times within New York session to reverse price, that is always 9:30 or red folder news or 10 a.m. I want those times to reverse price. So we can align time and price. This sounds kind of cringe, but yeah, just just aligning those times with pairing those times with reversals, right? So I can already anticipate this happening where YM is really close to the high. NQ is farther away from the high, so I would want this high to be manipulated, right? Simply to form an SMT with YM, and then we reverse. Like already, this is already in my plan for coming in, right? So we actually look here. How do I know to enter in 1 minute here? It's because we're already in the high of day is already positioned in a relevant level. It's like there's no need to go higher. So if we've already retraced, prior to the drivers, right? Then if we haven't reversed, now the only thing to do is expand. We already retraced. The only thing to do is expand. So I'm thinking that 9:30 all it should do is just expand, right? So that's why I'm entering the 1 minute here. All right, so we go the 1 minute here. Right, here's 9:30. Boom, we create the SMT. Now I'm assuming that this is a protected level. And that little CST is my entry. It's as simple as that, right? And then I'm holding, I took a partial here, and then I'm just taking to the breezy low. That's pretty much it, guys.
Oh, how about that previous day low TP?
yeah. There's no really need to be greedy, but if we look at YM here, we also talked about this, right? If I go here, why can you expect YM, the leading asset, to reverse or also hit potentially these lows? Or really, it's this low that we talked about. Since NQ did not manipulate this low, then this is what allows the other assets to actually trade into this low as well. So if you look at YM at around this time, hold on, let's go like a 15 minute or something. Boom, like right here. Look where YM is. If we mark at that same low, it's pretty much this low. What do I want to see NQ or YM do ideally is actually switch to the weaker asset. So we already saw that. It was right here. This two-stage SMT here. This is why I told you guys that this high ideally needs to hold. And on the lower time frame, it's simply just this consolidation high. It was just the delivery was total crap, but
yeah,
that was your protected high.
It's like the only way you can really frame that is like it does eventually form a protected swing in there. It shouldn't get hit, and then it like hits 0.5 of the wick. But like, bro, it's very.
But yeah, guys. So also we talked about the phases of price here. We're reviewing. This is expansion. This is retracement. Within this, right, we have that gap. We have the two-stage SMT, so the next candle should just send us lower. That's what it did on NQ because it's the weakest asset, right? Into the low. And now we just kind of, don't really have to do anything else, right? You could potentially trade these other assets lower, right? ES and YM. But yeah, considering this slow movement, right, that's not really the biggest... not really the greenest flag of all time, right? If 9:30 or 10 o'clock just rip through this low, that's so much more convincing to me that ES and YM, the weaker assets, can get there. But like when the strongest asset being NQ just kind of bullshits as well at not even relevant levels, like that's kind of not something you want to see. So that's a good idea to TP at the previous level, probably, for sure. How did you confirm? It's really just drivers, right? So it's SMT and drivers. Simple as that. So the driver reversing price and expanding away, that's like my pairing of confirmation with SMT. And you have to understand, like, this is going to take experience, but you have to understand when it's going to be quick like that. Like I said, the high of day is already positioned at a relevant level. There's no need to go higher. There's only one thing to do. To expand. So when are we going to expand? At 9:30. So therefore, you're not going to get these 5-minute CSDs or these pullbacks in the 5-minute. No, it's going to be like 1 minute. It's going to be quick. Because we have not even yet expanded away. We have not yet expanded away from our reversal. I talk about that in my video, my driver video on YouTube. Like if you are in a key level prior to driver, or maybe we reverse before the driver, but we don't yet expand away from that key level or from that reversal, 9:30 will just rip. Typically. Or any driver will. But that'll do it from you guys. I'm going to end the stream now.